I think that the idea of what our responsibility is to those unborn definitely weighs on my mind. And the future of this program is all the way out to 2041. And those are kids who are not yet with us. So what do we owe future generations? And what do we owe the fear of rich people leaving?
I guess for me, this one's sort of a no-brainer. Hearing from individuals who have literally moved out of the county because of the taxes and the increases. The tax is a huge, huge problem for the people who provide our revenue in the county.
I'm rich enough to pay the tax, but I'm not rich enough to contribute the vast majority. I'm not in the top 1,000. And I don't know what it's like to be so rich to make decisions about what you owe your community and weighing that balance and choosing to leave a community rather than contribute to it. I don't know what those decisions are. So I recognize that they're weighing heavy on us, and the no-brainer is give rich people what they want in a year-long delay. If that's what the chattering class is saying ought to happen, I can understand why we would move forward with that. Seems like we can afford it, at least a delay, but we can't afford to not increase it. I think structurally in this country and even locally, we have told a story that we have a really high tax burden, but we're really talking about a tax burden on the people who can probably most afford it. But I also think in general, a conversation about what we owe one another broadly as a country is something we've neglected to have for quite some time. And also just recognize this is brand new and we're all getting used to it. We knew that we would have revenues in excess of expenditures for a good long while before we started to meet them. That is all bearing fruit in terms of the math we did before is kind of proving true. But it's also proving true that we can't afford to not do what the voters passed, which was to implement an increase at some point. So those are my early thoughts.
Can I just one quick thing? I really appreciate the heart of what you said. I think characterizing a consideration of how much to increase, when to increase, whether or not to increase, characterizing that as giving the rich people what they want, I kind of find that an offensive comment, politically expedient, and the chattering class. We don't have to create unnecessary division and refer to others in our community in somewhat disparaging ways in order to do that.
Oh, I wasn't trying to, like I said, I've never been rich enough, but to raise the specter of rich enough people leaving our community based on this tax, when this is a permanent tax, if that permanent tax is enough of a reason for you to leave the county, then what does a year moratorium do? And where is that coming from? If a family is rich enough to be paying that tax and it's enough of an incentive for them to move, they are making a financial and a moral decision. And indeed, the call for a moratorium for 3 years on the tax did not come from the people whose children are benefiting from preschool for all. So it's okay to me to identify rich people wanting something, but to say that the call for the moratorium came from a broad segment of the public, I don't think is accurate when such a few percentage of people pay the tax. Whether or not they choose to make a financial and a moral decision, that's up to them. Again, I pay the tax. I'm not uprooting my family to not pay the tax.
And I appreciate that. And it's not that I would not pay whatever it is to get those services for people. But I think that question remains. If you're spending a lot of money and considering that, it's one thing to say, I will spend my money on our community and I want to do that. It's another to say, I don't feel like this money I'm spending is actually achieving the purpose to which it's going. And that's a problem.
That to me is America's tax system. We all think, I'm not getting the money, I'm not getting the services I'm paying for. That is literally our zeitgeist. I agree with you that people want to know that their government is effective. But the people that have a greater sense of agency to be able to do that tend to be more rich people.